Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? We got some books to read now. Hey guys, I came up with this Scooby Doo book tag and posted about it on the group the other day. I figured today I would do a video about my own Scooby Doo books. Hey guys, Pat Parker with 52 Books here. So let's just jump right into this Scooby Doo book tag. So the first one is Scooby Doo himself, one book about a talking animal. There were several choices that sprang to mind immediately, but the one that I settled on was Call of the Wild by Jack London. Now I know that the dog is not actually talking, but the story is told from the point of view of the dog, and I think it's sort of the same thing. Okay. Number 2, Shaggy. Shaggy was the guy in the group that was a stoner and always had the munchies. He was always eating sandwiches with like peanut butter and jalapeno and crazy combinations of stuff. So the book tag is a book about a stoner or a book that made you hungry when you ate it. The book that immediately came to my mind was Getting Stoned with Savages by Martin Troost. This is a non-fiction book. It's an account of the author going to this tropical South Pacific island in order to drink kava with the natives. Kava is a psychoactive drink that they make from the root of something. And so my Shaggy book is Getting Stoned with Savages by Martin Troost. The third one is Velma. Velma's the smart girl, always dressed in an orange turtleneck, always pulling them out of a bind with her brain. So my book tag is a book with a smart female character. And the one that I settled on was 10 Days in a Madhouse by Nellie Bly. This is a very old book. It was written by, I think Nellie Bly was a pseudonym, I'm not sure, but she was a reporter, and she did this expose where she had herself committed to an insane asylum, like back in the day, like in the late 1800s, and managed to get her editor to get her out after 10 days so that she could write the articles about what it was like in this insane asylum. And her expose wound up causing the state to pour a lot more money into caring for people with mental disabilities instead of just sequestering them and torturing them at this asylum. Okay, so that was the Velma book, the smart character book. The Fred book is a book with a puzzle or mystery, and the one that I picked was Ready Player One. This is pretty popular these days on BookTube, and I think most everybody has read it. It is science fiction set in the future in this virtual reality thing, and this Bill Gates type character passes away after inventing this virtual reality world, and he hides clues to a huge treasure inside the virtual reality world. So they have to follow the clues and find the treasure. So that's my Fred book about a mystery. Alright, the Daphne book, a strong girl character. Daphne was the purple chick in Scooby Doo, and she was sort of the counterpart to Fred. Fred was the leader of the group, and Daphne was the girl leader who was the strong, resilient type, even though she like gets kidnapped in every episode and they have to go find her. So the Daphne book is about a strong female character, and the one that I picked was So Big by Edna Ferber. Now, you probably haven't heard of this one. It was the 1925 Pulitzer Award winning novel, and it is about this boy that grows up and wants to have more and more and be more and more famous, and so he misses out on a lot that is good in his life because he's always searching for something that's better. Well, the strong character is his mom, Selena, and it's a totally remarkable book. A lot of the Pulitzers, the early Pulitzers that I read, were very tedious because they were older sort of language, and it's almost as if authors had not invented the idea of having a plot in a story yet. But this one is well written and it's a good story, so I would recommend So Big by Edna Ferber. That's my Daphne book for today. Now, who remembers Scrappy Doo? All right, this was the little dog who was so annoying that everybody hated and wished that Scrappy Doo wasn't even in the show. So the Scrappy Doo book is one that you wish didn't exist, or one that you regret reading. Now, I'm liable to get some flack for this because this is a largely beloved book, but my Scrappy Doo book is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. To me, the book was incredibly boring and just took a movie that, while I thought it was overrated, it was a pretty good movie, and made it boring. So this was one of the rare instances where the movie was way better than the book, and once I went back and read the book, I realized that the movie wasn't all that either. So my Scrappy Doo book is Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind, which also won a Pulitzer, by the way, so there must be something to it. All right, the next part of the book tag is the Mystery Machine, their van that they're always cruising around in. And this would be a book that features a road trip. And the book that I settled on was Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie in Search of America. I'm not sure when it was written, but once I read it, it became one of my favorite Steinbecks. And he convinced his publisher to pay him to take a RV around the country and write about the places that he went and the people that he met. And the Travels with Charlie part, he traveled with his dog, a poodle named Charlie. And they made a circuit of the United States and wrote about the places that they went. So that's the road trip that earned that book my Mystery Machine book of the day. All right, the next one is Ghosts and Monsters. Every Scooby Doo episode featured a monster. Frequently it was a ghost or some bad guy that wanted them to think he was a ghost or something like that. So the book would be a book that features a monster or a supernatural creature. And this is one of my favorite Stephen King novels. It may not be my number one most favorite, but it's probably in the top 2 or 3 or 4, and that is The Outsider by Stephen King. This is about a softball coach in this little town that is arrested because the police think he raped and murdered this little boy, and they have like incontrovertible evidence. They have like his DNA, and they have multiple eyewitnesses that saw him pick the kid up in this date rape van and take him off. Except when they start their investigation, they find that he has a rock solid alibi. He was in another town hundreds of miles away, and there's hundreds of eyewitnesses that saw him there, and he's even on film as being in that town when this dastardly murder and rape happened. So turns out, I hope that I'm not spoiling this too bad for you, but there is a creature that took his form in order to do this murder. So that's my book about a supernatural creature. All right, the next book tag is the whole gang of them. They were such a tight-knit group. They always did everything together, except when one of them would go off and get lost, or Velma would get kidnapped or something. Daphne would get kidnapped or something. But they were always together as a tight-knit group. So the book is a book about a tight-knit group. And of course, there's no other story in the world, in my memory, about a tighter group on a more epic mission than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship, although at the end of the first book the Fellowship is broken, but pieces of the group stay together, and they have to go off and do their own thing, and eventually the pieces of the Fellowship are reunited and accomplish this amazing, impossible mission. All right, the last one is the Scooby Snacks. You know, Scooby Doo was always eating Scooby Snacks like dog biscuits, and Shaggy was often so hungry from smoking dope, it's presumed that he would eat the dog biscuits with him. But the Scooby Snack book would be a book that was unput-downable. You have to read the whole thing. You consumed it before you could put it down. My Scooby Snack book is actually a trilogy of books that I read recently, and it's another Stephen King, and that is Gwendy's Button Box, Gwendy's Magic Feather, and Gwendy's Final Task. Once I started on these books, the first one was fantastic, and I sucked it down. The second one suffered a little bit from second book syndrome, but it was still passable. And then the third one, once I read the first sentence or two of it, I was hooked and absolutely had to read the entire thing before I could put it down. So that's my Scooby Snack book of the day. All right, if you want to check out what some other people's Scooby-Doo books were, hop in your mystery machine and head on over to our Facebook page, 52 Books, and you can find some discussion of this there. If you want to do the Scooby-Doo tag and post your books on your location on the interwebs, be my guest. I'd love to see what your books are that fit those categories. So if you do post them, let me know so that I can read them. And please do like and subscribe, because it is a free way for you to help me out a lot. Thank you.